Sweet. All right, so I've started recording. Do you want to record as well, Mark? You're recording?
Yep,
Wonderful.
recording has begun.
Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone. So this is a special edition True Resonance introduction to Healy and where we're at right now with the global promotion, and we want to speak a little bit into where it came into our world and how it kind of sits in our world, the Healy opportunity right now. So without too much further ado, what I'd really like to do is just introduce Mark, who is the person who sponsored me personally into Healy. And I am very, very grateful. This guy is one of those people that if you ask him a question, he's like, I'm going to get back to you on that because I want to understand this fully before I can give a valued answer. And so it's been a beautiful journey to step into Healy with a partner that then really goes into the detail of how does the product work? How does the system work? How does it affect our bodies and things like that? So we're going to create this as a bit of a Q&A with me speaking to Mark and asking him about Healy and getting some beautiful feedback from someone who does actually understand a lot of what Healy is about. And there are a lot of things to know. So maybe Mark, just to start, if you want to give us a bit of a context and relationship around how Healy fits into where we are in the world and the times that we're in right now.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. And so in saying that, I just really want to acknowledge Jason Bart, who is one of my best friends in the world that has been by my side in the adventure. You know, Jason, you and I have been looking at every possible technology, whether it's a technology of consciousness, of awareness, or actual physical technologies, vehicles, computers, you know, everything. And we've been there on a lot of crazy rides. And this has been kind of the one that I think we've been waiting for, as cliche as that sounds. And yeah, to give it some context for everyone, we wanted to kind of drop in a little further than just, you know, a slideshow, which there's lots of slideshows out there. There's lots of information you can see on Healy. And we wanted to take it even further into how does Healy fit into the bigger vision of what's going on right now. You know, it's very easy to kind of forget and kind of look at these compartmentalized parts of our lives. But right now, all around the world in 2020, as I'm sure every one of you have experienced, the entire world is transforming. The caterpillar is in the chrysalis and it is melting. All the old structures of control, politics, economics, relationships, everything is breaking down. And something really amazing happens in a caterpillar and a chrysalis when it turns to sludge, right? It faces its own death. And in that point, there's something called imaginal cells that wake up. They wake up, they've always been in the caterpillar, but they begin to wake up, and the caterpillar at first tries to fight it. But those imaginal cells, they hold the imagination of the future of the caterpillar, of the butterfly. And they don't fight, but they simply just continue to hold the imagination. And then they breed, they split and they multiply until eventually those imaginal cells take over the old structures and they use the very resources of the old caterpillar form to create the new butterfly, right? And the way that I see 2020 right now is we are really starting to peak in this process of breaking down the old structures. You know, politics is falling apart everywhere you look. Before it was this clear argument of either left or right, but now it's like, which one's which? Like, what's what? You know, it's this crazy thing. So politics are falling apart. The power structures are falling apart. Economics, you know, we're so used to this old way of economics of making money. Go to your job, do your job, earn your money, come home, save up for your superannuation and retire. And that doesn't work anymore. All of that is now in question. Look at New York. It's like all the windows are boarded up. I was there 2 years ago. It's this hiving, bustling place. But now you go into Manhattan and the windows are all boarded up. The biggest economic center in the world. And so we are legitimately no longer just talking about this change and this transformation of the world that's coming. We are in the eye of the transformation. It is happening, and it is incredible, but it's also pretty intimidating for a lot of people because we're having to let go of the way we used to do things and find new ways of creating. And that's something that really touched me really deeply, and was where I had to say yes to Healy when it came into my world, was because I suddenly saw that this little wearable device, which Jason and I had experience with the technology from a long way back. Maybe Jason can talk into that after, but when we saw this, we didn't expect it this soon. And then as soon as Healy entered into our world, the whole fear around Corona, everything set off and all went like a pinball machine. And the timing of Healy is exquisite. It's almost like the fear of the virus is the virus itself, no matter what your perspective is, because I know everyone in here will have different perspectives on what's going on. But one thing I'm sure we can agree on is the fear is what's really the virus that's spinning people, tripping people around, and the rest. And the Healy has almost come into the world as the antivirus. It's able to travel through, and we've been watching in our own lives and those lives of those around us. It has this incredible ability to use frequency to help stabilize our survival instincts, to help get us out of that reptilian kind of survival brain where many of us are tripping up in at the moment, and to help stay more in that stable creative expression where we can have the frontal lobe operating properly. We can actually think clearly and make the right decisions for ourselves rather than trying to continuously run those old patterns. And so for me, Healy represents the imaginal cells. It's a tool for the imaginal cells in our collective right now to use, not only on a physical level in the sense of Healy using frequency to help with the recalibration of how we approach the world from a physical well-being and a mental well-being, but also Healy is providing an opportunity to assist in the redistribution of income. We are seeing a redistribution of wealth that I've never seen before amongst incredible visionaries. All of those, and all of you here are part of it, that have seen a better world. We've been trying, but we needed permission. We needed someone to give us the money, some investors or something. And for the first time ever, I'm watching this incredible device help bring people into their genius and provide the resources necessary to actually build the dreams. And so that, for me, is where I honestly and genuinely see, and why I am so committed to the Healy process and supporting everyone in our teams, because it's so much more than just, yeah, we can make some good commissions. It's a great compensation plan. Yeah, the product itself is doing amazing things for friends and family. It's changed my entire life. But beyond that, there's a bigger picture that's bigger than all of us. And, it's amazing being able to pull teams together like this and work with people like you, Jason. I mean, yeah, that's where I see its place in the world is right now.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, the great thing about, I guess, business models like this is we really get to do it the way we want to do it. You get to really run your own business without having the huge outlay to get involved and things like that. And we are really in a super supportive relationship, right? There's that thing of the more we can help our team, the more we benefit. We'll probably go more into the business side of it a little bit later in the chat. Where I guess I wanted to start is with the Healy itself. And there's a few different ways that the Healy works. And right now you're running it with some cords and you've got some wristbands on. Can you explain how the Healy works when it's working through the normal Healy app? And actually, what is it doing right now? And maybe you want to talk about the program that you're running and why you're running that program right now, and what it's doing on a cellular level inside of your body.
Yeah, beautiful. So, first of all, just so everyone's aware, this is what the Healy looks like. So I'm assuming you're all here to learn about this thing, right? Someone's told you about it. They've told you there's a great opportunity to get one. And by the way, if you hear us talk about the business side of things, you can completely ignore that. You know, for those who are just interested in the Healy, this is what we're talking about, right? A little clip on, so it's a wearable. You can just, there's one button on the device and it's an on or off button. And then you got a couple of little lights, let you know what's going on. So that's the Healy itself, which, you know, as we say, is the very first frequency wearable of its kind. So there's nothing like this in the market up to this point. You're going to see a lot more like it in the future. Now, that Healy, what this contains is two forms of technology, but the one we're going to talk about first is the microcurrents. So a lot of you may have possibly come across microcurrents. I know beauty therapists have used microcurrents for triggering collagen production in the body, for it helps with the skin and all these different things. Microcurrents have been used for years and scientifically proven to support pain relief and all these different things. So in the Healy, you're actually seeing a microcurrent generator that can apply microcurrents to our body to support with many different things. Now, there are two different things. The other side is the quantum frequency generator, which we'll touch on in a bit, which is what makes this unique. But just to finish up, what I'm actually running at the moment, so the way you use the Healy is, well, there's the main way that you will find people using it, plugged in. I've got these little electrode bracelets where there's a little metal contact that's helping the microcurrent, a very, very low current, go into my body. Because some of you will be very aware that our bodies are driven by electricity. We're basically batteries. And our brain, our mind, our body, our cells, it all communicates through energy, through electricity, through these little signals that are sent in and out. That's why we need to be hydrated. If you're not drinking enough water, those signals can't communicate from your brain to your cells, to the body, etc. So it's the way that this works is it delivers these microcurrents through these cables that are hooked into the Healy. Now, the way you control the Healy is through your mobile device. So in this case, I've got it hooked up to my mobile. You can hook it up to an iPad or those kinds of devices. But you do need a device to control it with. Now, we have an app on there where you get to choose what program to run. So while we were setting up just now, I jumped on and I tapped into what program I felt could best support me while doing this webinar or this kind of conversation together. And for me, I decided to run one called Inner Strength Systemic. And so Inner Strength, and it's a bit hard to show on the screens, got the name here. That's a set of frequencies which contains, there's probably 500 plus different various frequencies that are hidden inside that name. And when I select it, it now sits there. I can control the power, plus or minus, to decide how strong I want those currents. And that's a feeling thing. It's just to overcome resistance. The idea is with frequency, less is better. So you adjust it to where you want it. And then it does the job. I can now turn off this app and it will continue working with my phone turned off. You don't need Bluetooth to keep it working, etc., just to set it up. So now this is running and it tells me how much time's left. I've got 39 minutes left. It tells me what frequency it's currently sending into my body. So at the moment it's sending 164.7 hertz is going through microcurrents into my body and stimulating my cells, my energy field, my bioenergy field, etc. And it also lets you a little progress bar, lets you know how far it's gone, right? So 16% progress. Now, that's how this is sending those microcurrents into the body. And actually, I might just touch on the actual quantum sensor here, Jason, just to say, before I touch on what microcurrents do with the body, that the Healy actually has inside it something very unique, which is called a quantum sensor, which uses scalar waves. So if you're a fan of Nikola Tesla's work, you will have heard of scalar waves. Now, scalar waves are something quite spooky. It's part of the quantum science that they're starting to really begin to understand. Now, we don't need to understand it deeply to see it working. But what makes this unique is that not only have I chosen a program and a set of frequencies that will be supporting me, so in this case, it's supporting my capacity for inner strength, which is working with my emotional body, working with my mind, working with my physical vessel to help support me in finding that inner strength so that I can be fully present with you and not kind of be flaky or easily knocked around by, you know, comments, or maybe someone's not paying attention or I see them in the thing and it throws me off a bit. It helps me to just stay strong in myself. Now, what the Healy's doing right now is it's using the quantum sensor to scan my body, to scan my cells, and to actually listen to how they're responding to these frequencies. And by doing that, it can actually custom select specific frequencies that are exactly what my body is asking for, as opposed to a lot of other devices where you have to choose one frequency. That's the one I'm applying, you choose it and off it goes. Or you have to go to a therapist who uses their many, many years of study to work out what frequency is best. What makes Healy unique and incredible is it's able to use its own intelligence to listen to your body and your cells, and then choose from this database the very specific frequencies customized for you. So what I'm running for inner strength, if Jason was running it at the same time, it would be choosing different frequencies, but it would be running on the same theme, so that he and I would come to a similar conclusion, but we've got different frequencies helping us get there because we're unique creatures with different circumstances. So that's what's amazing about the Healy. It's able to actually listen, and then it modulates itself in real time. So as it's going, it can let me know the current frequency is at 79% progress. What that means is it can hear from the cells that they've strengthened, they're kind of getting closer to where they need to be. Because keep in mind, the Healy's like a tuning fork. It uses those frequencies like a tuning fork to bring your cells in your body to where it needs to be. And then it can listen and it goes, okay, we're close enough there. And then it switches to the next frequency and then switches. So it's just this incredible thing that's customizing a plan in the way it helps and supports you in that sense, which is super amazing. And so then, Jace, I think from there, it's should I jump straight into what it's actually doing in the body for the microcurrents, which is what your original question was?
Yeah. And I just had this visualization now, because people that have met me before know that visuals are a big part of the way that my mind works. And just, I had this idea of, you know, a sheepdog, right? And you've got all of these sheep kind of going into a pen, and it's kind of like our body coming into harmony. And this sheepdog kind of runs around over here, and then it runs around over here, and then it comes back and forth. And it's a little bit like that, how it kind of switches between one frequency and the next frequency to kind of guide the body into its natural harmony. And what's really special about this, and, you know, like you were saying, we have both got a fair bit of experience with other frequency devices that have a spectrum of frequencies, but they're fixed frequencies. And it is, you know, designed to kind of guide us in some way. But the quantum sensor in the Healy really creates this dialogue between our body and the device. And that's so unique, how our body goes, I need a little bit more of this, or that's a little bit too much of that. And the Healy then is a great listener, and it actually then hears that and goes, okay, I hear every 10 seconds, it's actually scanning again to find out what's going on. And yeah, if you want to then speak into what these currents are actually doing in the cells, because it's quite remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that blew me away, and what I love about what this is doing, and this is only like one aspect of the Healy, is what they discovered through a lot of the research was they saw that using microcurrents actually stimulates the voltage potential of a cell. And some of you that have done a bit of work in biology and the rest might know a lot about cells and voltage, and others maybe not so much. But basically, you know, a cell has a certain voltage, you know, inside the cell and outside the cell. And that needs to be at a certain point to create tension in the cell membrane. And the cell membrane is what lets things come into the cell, absorb into the cell, and also what it lets out of the cell. So in a way, your cell membrane is like the door guard, right, of a nightclub. And a door guard has a really important job. Because if you've got a good solid door guard that's full of integrity, wide awake and strong, then that means that it'll keep all the riffraff out of the club and will only let those who are respectful and wanting to take part, it'll let them into the club. And that will create a great environment in the club where you can have a great time, right? Everyone can have fun, you can be creative and dance your life out. Or life in, I should say. Whereas if your door guard is really sloppy, they had a big night out, they don't really have a high integrity, they're dealing drugs on the side, then there's a good, which by the way is half the door guards out there. I used to work in the industry. Now, if that's your door guard, then what are they letting into the club? They're letting in anything that bribes them. Anything that kind of sweet talks their way. They're going to let all the riffraff in. They're going to not paying attention. Maybe they're talking to this cute girl over here, and they're just letting whatever go into the club. And if that happens, then what happens to the club? It's a pretty crappy environment. You get trouble, you get fights, you get people getting way too drunk, and it becomes a turbulent environment you just don't want to be in. And eventually the club shuts down, right? I've watched it time and again. Now, your cells in your body are very similar. It has a cell membrane that is the door guard of your cell. Now, if your voltage potential of your cell is at a correct position, if it's in a certain range, then your cell membrane is strong. It's very clear-headed and it's able to know what to let in and what to let out, what to get rid of, in waste products of the cell, which keeps the cell working at its optimum. Now, what often happens is because of different environmental circumstances, diet, the food we're eating, our emotional body, energetics, all kinds of different factors affect the energetics, the voltage potential of our cell. And this even goes as far, and this is a theory, I can't say this is solid science, but it makes me contemplate the idea that is this not possibly why things like 4G, because people go on about 5G, but 4G has been creating these electromagnetic influences on our bodies and our environments. The TVs, the computers we're around, our mobile phones that we have with us, unhealthy relationships have got energetic dynamics, electromagnetics. All these things are affecting the voltage of our cells, which then makes sense why it's hard to prove it sometimes in mainstream science, because they're not looking at the direct the non-direct correlation of how these things might be affecting each other. So what we're seeing is that our cell voltage starts to drop, and as it starts to drop, the cell membrane gets sloppy, and all of a sudden we start seeing disease starting to exist within the cell. And then beyond disease, as soon as that cell voltage drops even further, we start seeing cancer existing. And as it starts dropping further, we start seeing, the cell division beginning to happen because the cell's starting to go into survival mode. And then it starts splitting. And then the next step beyond there is cell death. The club closes. So the idea is that through, whatever mechanism, we need to find ways to maintain a healthy voltage level in our cells, which comes from the energy in our bodies and what we put in our bodies and the environments we spend our time in. So one of the things that I've been super excited about is that the Healy is showing itself to be an amazing tool to help facilitate this process of stimulating the voltage of our cells. And we've seen this in experiments with animals. Now, I know people aren't big fans of experimentation with animals. This was done quite a while ago with microcurrents. But the fact is we have seen it shown that this microcurrents is stimulating this voltage potential. So I'm sure if you use your imagination a little bit, you can see how that can provide us with an alternative to trying to fight and break down the old system, the towers and the electromagnetics and all these technologies that are not perfect. In the meantime, until we eventually get better solutions, I believe we'll be using scalar for internet, mobile, all these things. But until we're there, the Healy is showing itself right now to be an amazing device to help give us some stability in the meantime. And on top of that, they've also shown that it increases ATP production. So the energy production of cells by up to, I think it was like up to 500%. And so if you think about that, a cell produces energy. Everything that a cell does, everything your body does to build, to heal, etc., it needs energy. And so by stimulating the energy production of your cells, you're providing more energy for that awake door guard and the actual body to work with. So it can start healing itself. It can start doing all of those things to bring it up. And it also helps with, amino acid transport. So communications of these amino acids and so many more things. But, there's lots of documentation. You can go down and research, etc. Ask the person that sent you here to get that information for you. We won't go too much into the details, right? I'd be here ranting for hours and I'd love to. But I hope that's given you an idea of, on a base level, without even looking at specific frequencies, that no matter what frequency you're using, as long as you're hooked in, it's working on that level. It's doing some pretty incredible things.
Yeah, beautiful, bro. And I think it's really important, they talk about these negative ions that you can get from your environment, like going down to the ocean or being in the forest and things like that. And with a lot of these technologies, if we were vibrating at our highest potential, then these tools aren't really that necessary. But the reality of it is we do live in environments that are far from ideal. A lot of our diets are far from ideal. And so we're looking for, it's almost like an energetic supplement, right? So when our diets aren't complete, then we look at various pills or powders or things like that we can take to supplement our diet so that the body's then getting the bits that it's needing. But this works in a similar way where you're actually receiving negative ions through the charges inside these wrist straps or ear clips or the localized pads that then help to create that cell voltage potential between the inside and the outside of the cell. And I just, I really want to bring the point that it is important when we are, if you've got a broken leg, right, it's a really good idea to use crutches to allow your leg to heal. And the Healy is like that on a whole new level of body health and wellness, to be almost like a crutch for that, to help it come back into its optimal state of cell activation. And I really love how there are members in our team that really know a lot about cellular health and how they work on that molecular level, and how excited they get by how the Healy works. I do not understand it. I can appreciate the concepts of it and how globally it works, but when people understand the specifics and then they look into the Healy and they get super excited, it's one of those affirmation moments of like, okay, I thought I was on the right track, but you guys actually know that this is doing those things that it's saying. And not only people that are involved in cellular health, but also people that are into energetic sciences like kinesiology or other types of energy work. I mean, we know that we are so influenced by vibration. Anyone who's been to any kind of sound healing knows the experience of walking into a room and getting a sound bath by a gong or a didge or crystal bowls and things like that, and what that does to our body through purely vibration. Like, nothing touches us. When people do Reiki on you, like, no one actually touches your body at all, yet there are huge shifts that are possible. And to have this healing, which is so easy to use and personal device, so you can wake up in the morning and go, I'm feeling a little sluggish, and tuning into what part of that is feeling sluggish. Do I feel like I've got a cold coming in or something like that? So then you can run programs for that. Or is it just that your energy is low, so you can run programs for that? And it's super easy, super intuitive, and I really love that. So then That's cellular practical. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that's been really beautiful watching is not beautiful, but fascinating to watch is probably one of the biggest challenges people have with the Healy is that it's so easy to use that they're not used to that. It's almost like we're so used to having, a doctor diagnose something, or, oh, what I've got Parkinson's. What should I use for this? Or I've got this, or, how should I use it? And it's like, well, what's it affecting? Just simply be aware, and it's helping people to be more aware of their own being, of just feel into it, and it's very straightforward. Is if you got something on your skin, use the skin program. It's got 500 plus variations of frequencies for every possible thing your skin might need support with. You don't need to work that out. All you need to do is let it know by using the title of the programs what you want it to work on. And then from that place, it's actually very simple. But it's been interesting watching just how people struggle with that sometimes. But tell me what I should use. And it's like, it's okay. Relax. You can't get it wrong with the Healy. It's incredible. And it's been really beautiful watching the transformation that's happening with those using it and the empowerment that's coming. And it really is, this is that thing, right, Jace, where it's empowering people right now in a time where health and well-being is a big kind of contemplation. It's really empowering us to be able to have a tool where you don't need to go straight to the doctor if you're not feeling that great. You've got something that can help support your body. It can support, just like Jason was saying, to help absorb nutrients better, to help us get out of stress, to get out of fight and flight. This is it's used. What is it? The FDA in Europe approved this for the use of anxiety and adjuvant therapy for anxiety and depression. I've witnessed this thing. When someone's got anxiety, to put it on, and within 20 minutes, their whole nervous system calms. Now, we can't say everyone's going to get the same results because everyone is so unique. Some might need different things. And in the end, it's your body that's doing the job. The Healy is simply facilitating the frequencies to help remind it how to do the job in that sense. And so, yeah, it is actually a very simple thing once you kind of relax into it.
Yeah, beautiful. And this is maybe a good moment to just speak into, the disclaimer around Healy, because there is something really special about Healy, that in Europe, this is a class 2 medical product, and never before in the world has there been a business model like this with social selling and it being a class 2 medical product. Now, it's a class 2 in Europe. We'll just classify that it's a class 2 medical product for pain, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and also then, as you were saying, in a supportive tool for anxiety, depression, and sleep-related disorders. Now, in the US, it's also been approved, FDA approved, for the pain aspects, including fibromyalgia, but not for the anxiety, depression, and insomnia parts. And in Australia, we are now TGA listed for a product that works similar to other products that are like this, which is, TENS machines and things like that. So these are maybe 10, 15% of the Healy applications that it's then approved for. All the rest of the programs on there are a holistic product, which is designed to support the human body to do its own functioning, to support itself in how it works. So this doesn't cure anything. What it does is it supports your body to be in its optimum wellness, so sickness and disease falls away, right? So it definitely, in the language that we need to speak to, because this does disrupt many different multi-billion-dollar industries. And we want to support the longevity of this product for its spread to support, a lot of people to benefit from it. So we do need to be a little careful around the language you use. So I just wanted to put that out. Yeah, so wonderful. Thanks for that. And I really appreciate speaking to those pieces, because I know some of the stories that you've shared around anxiety and how that's just managed to just work so beautifully with the nervous system and bringing parts into balance. And I've witnessed it myself. The mental balance has been a huge asset for me to, in moments of high stress, be able to just relax into that so that I can actually make choices from ease and not from that place of fight or flight, or, you know, that panic inside, to just make a choice because I need to make a choice, but actually drop into what feels true right now. And, you know, it works on so many levels. I've witnessed it, and I know that you've had this as well, where once you actually use the product and then you actually get into the business, then there's a whole nother level of the nervous system relaxing, because there is this flow of income that's coming through the business. So we'll touch on that a little bit more. But first, let's get quantum, because this is a whole nother area that is very exciting around new tech. And we're saying new tech, but it's been around for like 60, 70 years or more already, this understanding of quantum mechanics and physics. And I do want to touch on this with Marcus, who's the creator of Healy. This, you know, one of those beautiful geniuses, you know, where their mind is 100 years old and their persona is like a little child. They're so sweet and so loving and so caring, and they just their heart explodes, but their mind is like exploding at the same time with how they can do that. And, you know, he was studying quantum mechanics at the age of 18 and really got to the point where, you know, when you get deep into the understanding of quantum mechanics, you really understand that the observer effect has a huge impact on how the result of a quantum equation is calculated. And so he actually realized that to get a deeper understanding of quantum mechanics, he needed to understand his consciousness at a deeper level, and then became a Buddhist monk so that he could actually understand quantum mechanics better. And this gives you an idea of the wholeness that is built into the Healy. And yeah, it's a really magical product. But maybe you could speak a little bit into how the quantum sensor works, and anything you want to add around the quantum field and where we are maybe as well in this plane of quantum right
now. Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you for bringing that in. Marcus is he's an incredible man, the inventor behind this, and he's brought together some of the greatest frequency specialists who are working together on the medical advisory board of Healy. You know, it really is a co-creation of years and years and years of exploration and discovery of amazing minds from all around the world, and that's something that's really special. Now, that is what makes this unique, is that within the Healy is a quantum sensor. It's actually on the back of the chipboard here. Now, what a quantum sensor is, and to put this into a little bit of perspective, your DNA is a quantum generator. So what we're dealing with the Healy is pretty much something that is helping to facilitate what our bodies are doing all the time. Our DNA can do all the time. And so when we say a quantum sensor, we're talking about, I think the technical term is called a noise generator, which doesn't sound quite as sexy. But basically what it does is it generates scalar frequencies, scalar waves. Now, the scalar waves, the idea of scalar waves is a little misleading because they're not waves. Scalar waves are more, the best way I've heard it explained, traditional waves, frequencies that the microcurrents use, are like waveforms. You've got destructive and constructive forms, which the Healy uses to either amplify a good feeling or to nullify a feeling that's not so great. Now, with the quantum frequencies, with the scalar, it's a bit like if you take this, see if it fits in the camera here. So whereas a normal frequency goes in a waveform, the the scalar waves, basically what's happening, it's more like a pulse, right, through the ether. And so what's happening is it's pulsing this information, which if you think about when I apply energy to one end of this doja, right, there, it comes out the other end instantaneously. There is no time or space delay between me doing that to it popping out the other end. And so that's how scalar frequencies move. They actually move through, they don't need time and they don't move through time and space in the way that we have traditionally understand frequencies, which is what makes them pretty spooky and also a bit harder for traditional science to understand without the right tools and looking at it from the right angle. So the reason I bring that in is because then the question is then, what is it working with? And what we're looking at here is if you think that the third dimension of reality is the physical body and our physical world, fourth dimension you could say is time, is the glue that sticks the space together to create a kind of feeling of moving in a linear fashion through time that creates a storyline, our fairy tale, right? Now, we then think, what is it that dictates that? What is it that informs that fairy tale to let our bodies, our DNA, the very matter on this planet, which is all energy, what informs it as to what shape to take? And that's where we then move our awareness to start contemplating the fifth and sixth dimensional fields. Now, this gets a bit out there for a lot of people, but the fifth and sixth dimensional fields are essentially where all of this, it's like Abraham would say in the vortex, Abraham Hicks for those like the channelings or, many other things. It's like, it's in that fifth, sixth dimensional field where our higher self exists, where everything already is played out. And that sense, it's those places where your DNA is constantly in communication with the information field. And when your body is in fight and flight, when your cells aren't running at their optimum, then your body switches into survival mode. It shuts down a lot of that communication because it's more focused on run the autopilot program that stops me getting eaten by that dinosaur right now, right? And so we stop receiving the codes as such, or the things that are informing our body and what's going on. And we get really caught up in the physical survival mechanism where we're not really in consciousness. We're not tapped into our higher self. We're not in our genius. And so when we come back into calm, we stay centered, we come back into our safe space where we go back into the frontal lobe, the full brain is now active, left, right, synchronized. Now our DNA raises its frequency and starts reconnecting to the information field and says, okay, now we're ready for that information. It brings it through and then it weaves it into reality. It stitches it in and you begin to create and to play, right? So what the Healy is doing, and I know this is out there for a lot of people. So if this is too spooky, that's okay. The quantum world is very spooky and the microcurrents and the way the Healy works is more than enough without needing to go into that wild world. But for those that are daring enough to go into that adventure, the quantum frequency generator in this Healy is basically communicating with your information field. It's communicating with your cells and helping to facilitate that connection, to remind it how to get that connection. And so the beautiful thing is not only can it use that scalar frequency to check in with your information field to see where is your actual physical body out of alignment with its blueprint of its potential. And then it can help run the tuning forks that are necessary, the frequencies necessary to help it get to that right frequency where it can allow that to come through. But it also means that you can use the Healy. Now, this is the resonance model. There's a few different versions of the Healy. They are all the exact same device, but different technologies on how they use that device. The top model of the Healy is called the resonance. And the resonance is the one that it's almost like having a kinesiologist in your pocket, right? So those that are familiar with energy working, kinesiology, etc., because that's what a kinesiologist is using scalar frequencies. That's the energy they're interacting with. That's how they're doing that work. And so anyone that's experienced distance healing before, I've always been very skeptical, but I've experienced it. I know it's real. And when you meet someone who knows how to do it, it blows my mind, right? But basically the reason that the Healy, the reason it works is because we're using scalar frequencies to communicate. So you can actually use the Healy to send frequencies to people that are not actually in the room with you. You can send them across the country, across the world. The space is not an obstacle because of the way that Healy is communicating with the fifth, sixth dimensional fields using scalar frequencies, to go directly to where they need to have effect. And the last part I'll chuck on this, for those that like a little bit of kind of scientific, solid, bit more grounded basis, there is research. There was one experiment probably a lot of you have heard about, where they took DNA on one side of America. And they took a person on one side of America, they took a DNA sample and sent it across the states to the other side of America. So they got a nice big distance. And then what they did is they put that person under stress and pleasure. So they would get them to watch different things and have different experiences. And when the body goes under stress, DNA tightens up. You can actually observe DNA tightens, the biophotons that it shoots out into the world start shutting down because it wants to play dead because it's under threat, right? So it shuts down its light and it tightens. When that person was put under, a nice experience, given the heart-opening experiences, DNA opens up, it relaxes, the biophotons begin firing again. And so that's something that they could see in the person. But what was amazing was that they could witness in the DNA sample on the other side of the country that their DNA sample was responding simultaneously with absolutely no time delay to the responses of the person on the other side of the country. And so that was pretty mind-blowing that they didn't really have a mechanism to explain, which then leads us to the quantum entanglement concept of quantum physics, which then leads us to understanding that quantum entanglement must be facilitated somehow. And so that's where we start seeing that there is a whole nother field where information is communicating. And so that's something that what I believe is Healy is a powerful symbol of the next big step in mainstreaming the bridging between spirituality and science. Spirituality has been the creative pursuit of trying to work with what we can't yet understand. Science is the process of trying to objectify and explain and show how these things work. But without spirituality, without creativity, we wouldn't have had it. Science would not have their breakthroughs and inventions that the creative geniuses have come with. And so that's my rant and ramble about it. It's something I'm super excited about because I truly believe what we're seeing here is the very beginning of breakthroughs in science and spirituality that are going to really help support the liberation of our dreams into this world.
Oh, beautiful, man. I agree 100%. And, I love the idea that, our cells are regenerating all the time. Like every moment there is a cell being made for either the muscle or the brains or the nervous system, every single moment. And it's up to that quantum energy or that energetic space of where we are in that moment that helps to define how that cell is then created. Because if we're in that contracted space, then what happens is the cell goes, okay, I'm in fear right now, or whatever it is, and that is then the prototype of how the cell should be made. But if the body is open and there's a lot of radiance, then that is how this new cell is created. So it's about helping to support this new being of ourselves all the time, every moment. And the more that we can actually support that, the stronger our body can be naturally. And that's what I really love about the Healy. So thank you, man. That was a beautiful download on how quantum works. And there is lifetimes of study that can be done on quantum and a deeper understanding. And, for a lot of people, they're like, how does it work? I'm like, I don't know. Do you know how electricity works? Isn't it just great that we can flick a switch and a light turns on? Isn't that enough right now? And if you really want to find out how it works, it's handy having a light to read those books. So in the meantime, work with electricity or work with quantum and work with the Healy and see how it supports your body. And you do have time. If you order a Healy, there's a 14-day money-back guarantee. And, I still am yet to find any. I've had people that have gone, I don't know, I think maybe it's not working for me. I'm like, just try a little longer. And they're like, yeah, actually, no, I'm not going to give that back. And one of the beautiful things as well is it works forever. And of course, things aren't going to work forever, but you get this device and then that's it. You can use those programs on yourself, on your family, on your friends. Like, it's not, this is my device and it's programmed to my being and nobody else can use my Healy. It doesn't work like that at all. It communicates to whoever it's talking to and whoever has asked for it to listen to. So yeah, it's quite an amazing. And we're talking about this because the business model that Healy's been created through is through social selling or network marketing. And this model has been around since the 40s, when a vitamin company realized that word of mouth is a huge influence in how we purchase. We ask our friends, or we tell our friends, I went here for dinner, or we saw this movie, or I've just bought this car, whatever it is. Like, these are things that we share, and they recognized how powerful that is. And to give a little bit of background with Healy is they haven't just come up with this device. Like, Marcus has created what's called a time waiver, which is a similar kind of thing, but a practitioner's version, where there is a person who's been trained in vibrational medicine and they're learning about the different frequencies and how they influence the body. And then patients would come and see them for the various things. And Marcus is the creator of the tech, right? So that's one side of it. But then there are the practitioners that actually use the tech. And so there was one of these practitioners in particular called Nuno Nina in Portugal, who had multiple clinics around the world and had a large number of people come through. And he saw that they kept coming back because it was effective for various things, but it was good to reinforce that support to the body. And the two of them kind of independently were thinking, we need a personal version of this so people can just have it at home, easy to use, and then they can just operate it themselves. They don't need to come to me every time, because Marcus wants this out to hundreds of millions of homes to help shift the frequency of humanity. And Nuno Nina has a similar philosophy, but he also doesn't want to go to 100 million different homes to support all of those people. He wants them to be able to help themselves and their friends and their family and things like that. So these two guys got together and basically said, look, let's do this, let's create it. And they got together, and I think it was over a weekend, they decided that they were going to do it. And it was just from the heart that they wanted to create this product. And I remember hearing a story from Marcus, how he was saying that it was getting to the point where the product was created and it was going to go out to market. And they're like, okay, so we kind of need to create an agreement between you two, because right now it's just, yes, let's do it. And so they got together, and within an hour they went, yep, that's good enough. It's not about us. It's about this getting out to the people. And they not only want the health that comes with it, but the wealth and the redistribution of the wealth that comes from this kind of model. And, it's beautiful. And I'll get you to speak to this in a bit, Mark, because you speak to it so well, around the alternatives that are available, because both Apple and Amazon have approached Healy to say, we want to buy this tech. And they've gone, no, sorry, we're not interested in that kind of model, because let's be honest, if he's not the richest, he's one of the top 5 richest people in the world, Jeff Bezos. He does not need more money. And if this was owned by Amazon, then we would all be buying it from Amazon. And yes, a few more people, maybe a few more distributors, or a couple more people in the warehouse would get employed by that. But that's pretty much where it would end. The rest of the profits would all go to Amazon. And Healy's made a conscious choice to say, we want to share this out. And it's really made huge influences on my life already. And I know it's had huge influences on your life, Mark, and even more so in other people. And it's not people that have gone from I'm completely broke to, okay, now I can afford food on the table. There have been people that have been hugely successful business people that have picked up Healy and run with the business, and it has completely transformed the way that they do business across the board, and it's also greatly increased their financial impact in the world. And for me, like, it's really about, and this is a mutual passion that we have around, we both have kids and we both are passionate about creating a world that we feel is nourishing for our kids to live their genius, right? To really step into what is it that you want to bring to the world. And for a lot of people, they don't get to actually make that choice for their whole life. They go through a place of, you know, being in what Robert Kiyosaki calls a job, just over broke, where they pay you just enough so you don't quit, and you work just hard enough so that they don't fire you. But no one really is in their genius with it, right? And when we can step out of that pressure of survival and step into, you know, thriving is such a word that's used, you know, from striving to thriving and things like that. But for me, it's about like being able to express your passion and being able to live in a way that feels nurturing and wholesome for my whole being, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and that I can put my creative energy into the world. And the first piece is reducing that fight or flight mode, because the bank balance has reached a point where it's like, oh, okay, I can breathe now for a moment. What is it that I actually want to gift the world? And then it's moving beyond that to, okay, how can I actually create something that's much, much bigger than myself, that has big impact in the world? So that is, you know, and I'll just share this quickly around when Mark introduced me to Healy. I was literally at the beach having a meditation, inviting the thing into my world that was going to reignite my fire. Because I've asked that question before about, I want to enliven my fire within. I want to be radiant in life. I want to give my gifts to life. And so often I get so caught up in the day to day that there's no room left over to express what I want to bring into the world. And choosing that, I really chose to invite that back into my world. And then Mark is like, dude, this Healy thing, you really need to check this out. It's epic. And since then, I mean, you can probably feel the fire that's in me now. And those that have met me before, it's here constantly now because of, and I'm not saying it's without its flaws or without its stresses or without its, you know, moments of glitchiness within my being where it's like, is this really my right fire? But it does, man. It really lights me up from within with the trajectory that I can see this going in. So that's my piece around that. But I'd love you to speak around, you know, sovereignty in business and how this business model is so empowering and powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jason. This is why I love this, man. And you know, there's a lot of people that come across Healy, and you know, some of you here might be the same or watching the replay. You know, you might be here because the technology is really interesting, and you know, you love the idea of frequency medicine and the rest that's coming. But the idea of, you know, social selling, which is basically a new name for network marketing, right? And the reason they've gone social selling is because there's a stigma. There is a stigma around network marketing. And one of the things you'll find in our teams with Healy is that we're straight up. It's authentic. Let's not try and hide these things. Like let's create and just be real with each other, you know, and the teams are amazing. And when I first saw Healy, to be honest, I was pissed off that it was under a network marketing umbrella, that it was going on a MLM business model, right? I genuinely was, because I knew this tech was coming. I thought it was 5 years out. So when I saw it was here now, I was a little bit, and that was my wounding from when I was in my early 20s, taking part in some nutrimetics or something in Norway. I was, very young, and I ruined so many relationships. I did the old thing, you get all excited, you call up from your teledex, your old phone book, and you call all these people you haven't talked to forever, and it's disgusting. It feels horrible. Everyone's like, oh God, here we go. And that residual still hangs around when people hear about social selling, network marketing, whatever you want to call it, right? So I am very transparent telling you that I was very much holding on to that perspective. But because of the tech, I had to say yes. And I got involved, and I was very apprehensive. But the more that I worked with it, and more that I saw the beautiful vision that the company holds and the potential that this has, all of a sudden, with Corona kicking in, all these businesses were shutting down. People were losing their jobs. Stuff was happening. And all of a sudden, people needed a new way of doing business that everyone could have an equal platform at giving a crack at. And that's where I started looking deeper into this model of social selling. And what I started realizing was we're looking at a future model of business that was just before its time. And one of the reasons for this is because when you go into social selling, if you chose to take this on as a partner, you don't sell Healy, you're an affiliate partner. And if you decide to take that on as your business, then you need to take responsibility for your business. You need to actually be accountable for your business and how you run it. If you choose to build a sales team that Jason and I, for example, have done, then we need to be responsible for how we work with our team, for the leadership that we provide to our teams, and the support and the coaching that we provide. And so what I've begun to see was that, everyone goes, oh, it's a pyramid scheme. And it's like, well, look at your traditional business. Look at Amazon. Isn't that kind of a pyramid shape with Jeff Bezos at the top? Pretty sure they all are. The only difference is that when you've got Amazon, everyone in the rest of the pyramid blames it all on the guy at the top. He's the fall guy. He takes it all, but he also takes all the commissions. He takes all the money, and just a little bit is dribbled down to everyone else. So responsibility is kind of offset to the company, to the CEO, to the business. You can go to your job and, just like Jason says, work just enough to keep it by doing what you're told. So a normal job is all about obedience. It requires obedience. Whereas network marketing, right? Social selling under the new brand, which is just to help freshen things up so we can rebrand a little bit. Social selling puts the power back in your hands. It's what you choose to make of it. Okay? Which means that if you get hungry, if you start getting greedy because you're getting caught up in the excitement, and people blame that on network marketing. They blame it on they get them all excited. They all go run out. And it's like, yeah, they do get you excited because passion is what drives things. It's what creates things. But what you need to have is strong leadership, strong teams, and strong self-accountability and self-responsibility. So we are massive advocates for saying, if you do want to take it on from the business perspective, then be aware that, it is a proposition here you're taking on to create. It will be what you make of it. You can't look to the boss to tell you what to do. Every one of us will do things in our own unique ways. And so what I came to see was that this is actually an incredible model that actually is a great vehicle for self-development, because you will discover your shadows as you come into this business model, and you will want to project them out onto the company. You want to project them onto your sponsor that brought you in. You want to project them onto all those people out there in the world. Oh, they think this or they think that. I'm not good enough. I can't sell. I can't. And all these storylines will come out. But in the end, what I've come to see is none of them are true. In the end, it's down to shifting your perspective. So the beautiful thing with this is it has triggered so many of my shadows to come to the surface. And then Healy has helped keep me in a really good, calm space to witness those shadows as they turn up, rather than reacting and making it worse. And the transformation that I've gone through in the last 5 months with Healy is astronomical. Jason, you have been witnessing it. You know, we've been witnessing it in each other and in all of our teams, those who choose to take self-responsibility, step up to the plate. And so what I'm seeing is that we've got a mechanism here that not only helps to cultivate good, strong self-awareness through good, solid leadership in our teams, but it's also providing a redistribution of wealth so that we can actually start creating without waiting for someone else to do it for us, without waiting for the government incentives or this or that. And it's all happening in a time where it's becoming harder and harder to play the old game of get a job and then retire with your superannuation. You know what? We don't even know if superannuation is going to be around by the time we retire. I'm pretty sure that this economic system won't even exist like this for my son. So what I'm interested in is how can we create something where we get to make the choices, where I am sovereign in how I choose to run my business. Healy give me the basic parameters of what the product is, what we can and can't say based on these legal things. Aside from that, they say, Mark, go out there, have fun, share it with your friends and family, and just send them over to us. We'll take care of the actual sale, the postage, the shipping, and everything else. All you need to do is share how much you love this with the people you care about. And then if they want that opportunity as well, then we fully give you the power and the sovereignty to decide on who you think you would like on your team. And off the back of that, I now have the most incredible team of people that I'm working with. And my perception of social selling has gone 5,000 degrees in a spin. And I am now a massive advocate for it, super proud of it. But I also acknowledge the shadows that everyone knows about, right? Because if you think about it, network marketing is putting this giant lump of cash in the center and based all their marketing budget, instead of giving it to the big companies, they're putting it in the center and saying, all right, well, you can take as much as you're willing to give. And so what happens? People's shadow comes in, the greed kicks in and all the rest. Again, that's where the leadership is important. That's why it's important when you sign up with your sponsor, you create a good relationship. It's all about relationships. And the community that we're creating is amazing. So that's just my little rant on that. And yeah, as you can see, we're pretty passionate these days.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, bro, I can't find it on my computer, but do you have access to the 4 phases? I did a download, but I don't know where it downloaded to on my computer. Because one of the things is there's the business model, and then there is specifically the Healy opportunity right now. And we're in a unique position because not only, as you know, Mark's beautifully spoken to the way that this product and the business model supports the environment that we're in right now. Every single startup company goes through 4 phases of expansion, let's say. And there's a little graph on here that can make it a little bit easier. Otherwise, I think I can find it, Mark, if you can't.
I found it's got to download it off the...
Okay. Cool. Wonderful. So yeah, if you can pop that up, because this is something I want to share about the timing that we're in right now, because what's really amazing is every company that goes through massive growth goes towards this moment called momentum. And we right now are leaning towards momentum. And there's a couple of phases before that, which can be for everyone who's been involved in Healy for, Mark and I've been in for about 5 months, 6 months now. Wow, that went fast. And there's a few that have been in, similar kind of time. But there is a real growing pains phase that every business has. And that has to do with really just creating the structure of what it is that we're doing. So yeah, we're both obviously having a little bit of issue finding.
Yeah, it's actually not displaying. My computer's crashing a little on that. Just give me 2 seconds. I've got the image there. Here we go. All right, I've got it. This will be the makeshift. We'll make this work.
Wonderful.
All right. Just realizing we'll be conscious of the time as well. Sorry, guys. I know we get very passionate about this and go on and on.
Cool.
There you
so
go.
You can see here, like the very first phase is the formulation, where the product kind of gets created. The whole idea is birthed, and there's this huge excitement that happens, and everyone's like, oh my God, there's this new thing in the world. And Healy is a brand new thing. They call it a unicorn product because there's nothing like it. They call it a category created, all of these things, right? So we have this phase of formulation. And then we get to the point of concentration where it's starting to come out into the market, but that's really where we start to witness these birth pains, like the growing pains, the issues start coming out because we don't really know how things are going to roll until we start doing this beta testing. And that's kind of around the concentration. That's really where we've been over the last 6 months of, Healy is 2 years old. That's it. So it's a very, very new product. But we are weeks or months away. We're really now leaning into that point of momentum kicking off, where you can see in the time span, the difference between where you've got that massive growth at the bottom from the start of the massive growth all the way to the left of formulation. There's quite a bit of time there, but the massive growth, for the amount of vertical growth that's there, for the small amount of time that it takes, that's where we're moving to. So what I'm wanting to really express is the potential that we're stepping into right now with this product, because it is going to explode globally. There is no doubt. And now is the time to take huge opportunity. So yeah, like the first 1 to 3 years is like this formulation concentration phase. And this is usually like when we start getting to, the first 100,000 members. And we literally just weeks ago reached 100,000 members in Healy. And as a result of that, we actually now have some real cause to celebrate. But I'll get into that in a sec. But I just wanted to let you know that this is where we're at right now. We are at this phase of momentum. We're about to step into that. And people that have been in this kind of business before understand what this means. And the best analogy that's been shared with me is now is the time to get people on your bus, because the bus is about to take off, right? So the more we can share this authentically with the opportunity and the product, and see who's aligned with that, the more people we can take with us when we really hit momentum. And then after a while, it steps into stability some more. But, we've got a bit of time for that. But the growth is about to be explosive. So, Mark, can you also share the different Healys? Now's probably a good time to just touch on that. And the price.
Yeah, I think we've made you wait a little bit right to the end there to tease you all.
Because as Mark mentioned, there are 4 different models of the Healy. All of them physically are exactly the same. It's just a question of what applications have been turned on. And so you can purchase the most basic Healy and upgrade over time. It's not something that you need to jump in at the deep end, but you can. So you can see here the 4 different Healy versions. You've got the Healy Gold, the Healy Holistic, the Holistic Plus, and then you've got the Resonance. Now, all of them carry Nuno Nina's gold frequency programs, which is 144,000 frequencies, which are a broad spectrum. So you have programs like Relax, Release, Energy, Pure, Care. What else am I missing, Mark? You were sidetracked on something else, so I shouldn't be asking you. And then you also now, with the Healy Gold, you also get the chronic pain program, because this is a thing that gives you an idea of where the company's at. Like, they recognize how important the pain programs are for everybody. So they've just said, look, we are just going to add that program, not the whole page of programs, but that pain program to every Healy. And then once you've had your Healy for a little while, they also give you the deep cycle programs, which is like a step-by-step process of detox. And then you've got your prices at the bottom in Australian dollars. And this is obviously variable depending on the exchange rate. And then there's also shipping on top, because, yeah, there is some complexity around Australia is not open. So we're buying from Singapore, and this webinar may be viewed in many different countries around the world. So speak to whoever introduced you to find out the exact prices. But the commission also varies for people outside of America. If you then buy gold, you get 30% commission on the point value, and then 33 up to 40% for the commission on the resonance. But maybe Mark, you can just speak into the different devices and programs.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, the way that I kind of have come to explain this to people, to kind of put it in a nutshell, because we're looking at, I think there's about 144,000 different frequencies contained just in Nuno Nina's gold frequencies, signature frequencies that come with your base model up. And so we want to really help people understand that the gold, just because it's the cheapest, doesn't make it like, oh, I just got the gold. I use those all of us will always be using these gold frequencies. And the way that I like to explain it is essentially the gold package. So again, same Healy, just different access to frequencies and programs. The gold is, you could almost think of it like your maintenance. So I mean, I would love it if every family had the gold. Like Jason said, you've got relax, pure, care, whatever you need. It's got a program to help support the process. And in a way, I always think of it as the maintenance program, the one that if you're doing good, the gold would be great to keep you doing good and to help hold that space. And it will also be the one that provides the maintenance while you're focusing on more serious issues or chronic issues. The gold will always be there to back you up. Now, the holistic is what I would say, if you have more chronic issues, any specific thing that you want to work on, if you've got a lot of pain, specifically, joint pain or this pain or that pain, as you can see here, it includes the pain and psyche. So that includes anxiety. So the holistic comes with the anxiety and depression programs and all the pain stuff, jaw pain. So if you've got teeth pain, etc. Bioenergetic 1 and 2, it's a super amazing set of programs for all your organs, because every one of your organs has a bioenergetic field that if it's out of tune, out of resonance, then your organ won't operate correctly. So it has the frequencies to help restore that. It has the mental balance, like Jason says, these mental balances have been my go-to. I've got a brain that works 1 trillion miles an hour, and I can get thrown out at times a lot. And the mental balance just helps calm it all and bring it back into that space so I can be in my genius. So I use those all the time. Meridian 1 and 2, if you're a kinesiologist, you'll know your meridians, or an acupuncturist. It's basically got frequencies for all the meridians. So just like a kinesiologist, you can work directly on them in that sense. Job and sleep, as it says, the job frequencies are all about things like exhaustion. That was one of the biggest ones for me that I had a very quick result with, was using the exhaustion program from the job, which helped balance my adrenals. And then off the back of that, I was able to stop chasing energy. I was no longer, eyeing off those energy drinks at the BP or the petrol station when I went past, because my body was much more stable. My adrenal system was. So job has got things like extreme stress and exhaustion, etc. Activation, so you can switch your brain on so you can be good at your job. Sleep is, as it says, helping with your sleep. And we've had people that have had amazing results. We've had people have instantaneous one time running it, they're sleeping much better. Others have had to run it over a period of time and maybe deal with other things like adrenals and stuff as a combination, because there was a deeper issue there with their sleep. but they've had improvements and massive improvements. And a couple, you'll hear that they haven't had the sleep improvement, but there's usually a good reason for that there's something else that isn't being focused on, or maybe it's an emotional thing, etc. So again, just a disclaimer that what we're sharing here is our experiences and what we've seen, but we can't give guarantees, of course, because everyone's bodies are so different. Just like when a doctor gives medicine, certain medicines will be effective for one person, but they might need to use a different medicine for another, and they often can't actually tell you why. It's still a lot of questioning there that we haven't actually realized. So that's the holistic. It's kind of where you want to really go deeper into the healing side of what does your body need for more serious issues like that. Holistic Plus is what I like to call the optimization package. So it's the one where you want to take it to the next level. So it includes everything we've just talked about, but it also has the learning frequencies. So the learning are things like memory. So if you find it's a bit hard to focus, to memorize, it comes with memory programs, exam, which I use a lot when I'm doing Q&As and things, because it's frequencies designed to get your mind, body, and soul in the right place, to be under pressure, to get answers for people in the moment. It's got all that kind of stuff for learning, concentration, etc. Fitness is an amazing one that's great for those of you that are into your running. You go to the gym, it's for weight training, it's for endurance, weight loss, all that kind of jazz that comes with your fitness, physical fitness, comes in that frequency program. Deep cycles, again, comes with this. The chakras come with a Holistic Plus. So whether you're into chakras or not, I've watched them be effective with people that are into them and not. Because in the end, you don't need to believe in them for it to stimulate them and support the rebalancing of them. And so it comes with all the different chakras. And I've often used the solar plexus chakra to deal with some traumatic kind of emotional stuff within my family. And it's been amazing to watch how it's almost like, it never bypasses anything. But I've watched how these chakra frequencies can be really good at kind of helping to clear away what you've dealt with, so that you're left over with what's remaining, rather than sometimes, you move through something, but it's almost like the snake skin, the snake sheds its skin, but it still hangs on a bit. I found these frequencies can be really supportive in helping to kind of shake off the old and stay fresh in that sense. And of course, the protection programs, which you don't actually hook up, they use scalar. So you just have to put this device in your pocket, and they run different frequencies for sleep protection, electrosensitivity. So if you're sensitive to computers and things, the electromagnetic sensitivity one really, or electrosensitivity, I think it's called, helps to stabilize the field so you're not as affected by it. And I've heard a lot of feedback from some people that are super sensitive, couldn't be near things, and after using these protection frequencies and the Healy in general, have been able to be closer in exposure to those things without falling apart and really frying out, because it's a real thing. So the protection programs are great. Mental protection, if you're working in a shitty job where there's just bad energy around you all the time, then these are the great things to have. No one needs to know you're using it. It can sit in your pocket and help support you through that process. And then the final one is the resonance. Now, the resonance is the top model. It's the one that contains everything. The thing that it has is the Analyze app. So now the resonance, as we talked about, runs all of these things. But what it can also do is you can use the resonance to scan against any one of these databases to find out which specific frequency is going to be the most, your body's asking for. So for example, if you're feeling, not too well, you're feeling a bit down, you can run a scan with a resonance and it will come up and say, run immune system from bioenergetic 1. Or it might come up and say, run liver from bioenergetic 2. It gives you it actually tunes right in and says, yes, you might think that the issue is here, but when it scans you, it can see that the most important thing your body needs resonance with at the moment is something deeper or something else. And then as you scan and run those programs over the time and work on it, you actually start working on it from the base up instead of just hitting the symptoms all the time. So the resonance is super amazing in that scanning function. So if you're running a clinic, you're a kinesiologist, a practitioner, this is a great tool to be able to use. It's also one that can do distance stuff. And the last thing that we have not mentioned yet today, which is pretty incredible, I think I'm skitzing out there, but the last thing to mention here is Is my video skitzing out, Jace, or can you see me clearly?
That's good.
Okay, that's just my video on this end. The world's doing strange things at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this resonance, the thing we haven't mentioned, is the aura scan. Now, the aura scan is something that we often demonstrate when we're in person with people because it blows people's minds. You know, you sit with someone, you set an intention, and then it scans their aura, their chakras, and it goes through and picks up an energy reading on each of the centers. And then it gives you a feedback, a report that you can actually email to them. Using the app, you can email to your clients or to yourself or family members. And it doesn't just tell you what energy level your centers are at, your chakras, but it also gives you little kind of notes of contemplations or descriptions of what specifically is being triggered or is up or is out of resonance within that center. So, you know, maybe there's something with like a crown chakra, and, you know, what would then come up, you know, I remember one time getting father issues. You know, it would actually specifically connect in and give me a feedback going, there's issues with authority that I'm still struggling with that are causing this lack of energy in my crown, which is in turn causing challenges in my connection to my own authority. And so by being able to tune in, it helps you to consciously, mentally acknowledge what's going on. And then you vibrate, we call it vibrate, which is send those scalar frequencies into your information field to help kind of reset the original intention of where that chakra energy should be at. And so it's an incredible thing that helps us to come back into balance in that sense. So that's the 4 models. And as Jason says, this is the prices. They are pretty close. We are actually at the best time to buy a Healy right now because the Australian dollar has actually gone up in value and our buying power is much stronger than it was, you know, a few months ago, you know, where a lot of people paid a lot more for these things because of the exchange rate. So these are pretty close to what they are. So Jason, we put up
yes,
where they're at now?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's going on, and I mentioned this, spoke to this before, is we've just reached 100,000 members. And as a celebration for that, Healy is giving a free promo upgrade, which means that if you choose a Healy Holistic Health, you can actually get a Healy Gold, or you can get it for the Healy Gold price. And the same with the Healy Health Plus, you can get that one for the health price. And then even better, if you choose a resonance, you can save €1,000 or about $1,600 and actually get it for the health plus price, which is amazing right now. So this is an offer that's available for just over another week from the time of this recording. And I strongly urge you, if you are curious about this, to have a chat with the person that brought you here and see how you can take advantage of this, because this is a unique opportunity right now to get your hands on a Healy resonance to do the scanning mode.
Absolutely. Yeah, cheers, Jess. Absolutely. And this is something that we didn't expect this promotion to happen again. And it was, like Jason says, a kind of spontaneous decision made once they hit the 100,000 members mark, where they put this and they decided to go live with it. So it was all a surprise to all of us. So there is actually a lot of excitement right now, because if you do want to make this into a business, now listen, if you want to get this just to use for yourself, that's awesome too. These prices have never been better. That's an incredible deal. You can get the holistic health for a very basic entry price. And if you remember that this is something that's going to keep on giving, you don't need to pay subscriptions to use this. You don't need to, you know, you might go to your kinesiologist once a month. That might be $120 a month. You know, by the time you've had 7 sessions or 6 sessions, 7 sessions with your kinesiologist, you've already paid for the base level, which is you're going to have for years. And there is a 2-year warranty on this. So now, but on top of that, if you are interested in doing this and taking advantage of the business opportunity, then this is a great time to get on board. And if you talk to the person who sent you, you can organize to arrange for, you know, a meeting with us or with anyone else one-on-one, where we can answer more specific questions deeper. So obviously we can't go much deeper now, but we're happy to answer any questions you need, give you all that information so that you know it's the right decision for you. And as Jason said, the best deal is the Healy Resonance, because if you come in at the to get the Healy Resonance, you are saving. It's about $1.5 grand, which is a big saving, and it's a genuine saving. I have been selling these at full price normally, and they will be going back to full price. And we don't know if they will do this again, but it won't be for a while if they do. And it's a great time to get. The other thing, just to quickly mention, is there is something called a fast start offer, meaning that once you purchase a device, that you have 30 days to share it with your friends and family from the time you sign up. So it's not from the time you receive it. So that people think it's a bit tricky, but the resources are there. And you do have 2 weeks. Once you receive the device, if you're not happy with your purchase, you have 2 weeks to return it. No questions asked. And Healy are awesome with that. They don't want anyone out there that don't want them. So it does add that extra security with the purchase. But it also means that if you do want to do this as a business, then there is a great opportunity, because we do have until next week, Sunday. So it's about 9 days to build your team. So if you want to jump in and you know somebody, like I knew Jason straight away that I was going to contact, then you can jump in with the Healy Resonance or whichever one you want, and use this fast start in this promotional time over the next 9 days to see if you've got other people that are interested. You don't need to push them. You don't need to be pushy sales, etc. Just let them know, and let them know that this is happening. And you'll be surprised who actually is really excited right now, because people are looking for this. And so the beautiful thing is if you get 3 people, with your affiliate link to buy a Healy, any Healy, it could be the Healy Gold, then in the next 30 days after you buy, then you get a free upgrade. So if you do buy the Healy Holistic Health at the gold price, then you sell 3, you'll get a free upgrade to the Health Plus. If you sell 3 more, you go to the Healy Resonance. If you sell 3 more, and that includes if you buy a Healy Resonance straight off the bat and you sell 3 through your affiliate links, then you will be sent a free Healy Resonance, which is worth full price, just short of $4,000. And that is genuinely an epic deal. I qualified for it, Jason did it, and you do want that second device because you'll be using it. You won't want to lend yours out. Yet it's good to have that second one to lend to people that are interested, prospects, etc. But yeah, so it's an amazing opportunity for those who want to take it seriously as a business, and just know that you will be supported in finding your way as well.
Beautiful, Mark. Thank you for sharing all of that, because there is a lot of information, and there is, without any pressure, there is a limited time frame for this. So just feel into people that you know that would be interested in taking advantage of this, and reach out and just see how they feel about it. See if this is something that's resonant for them. And Mark and I, we've created our own little group, which is the True Resonance group, which is really about, trying to align the business that we're creating in resonance with how we walk in the world. So it's about sharing, it's about caring, and it's about bringing this tech into the world to support people. And the business model is incredible. There are actually 6 different ways that you get paid by Healy. So if you want to know more, again, there are the people that brought you to this, and then Mark and I also do weekly calls, so you can tune into those to do more. There's many, many resources. But I think we will leave it at that for today. So thank you very much for tuning in. It's been it's a real pleasure to have an audience for this, and thanks, Mark, for bringing your wisdom and your beautiful style into this. It's much, much appreciated.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Marcus. Pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
You guys taking any questions, or?
We need to finish the recording on there.
Okay, so
yeah. But Marcus, how about you get in touch with whoever sent you, and then arrange for we can answer all your questions there.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much. So much information, man. You guys rock. Thank you so much.
Awesome,
Thanks,
Marcus.
Marcus.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say again, thank you to you, Jason. Jason's been my rock. He's been there, warrior by my side the whole way. And what you see here with us is what we're bringing to Healy as well, that culture where we want to create teams where we all support each other. And so just thank you, Jace, for everything you bring to the table. And thank you for all of you who came today. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you both very much. I feel so blessed to be part of it. You guys rock. Thank you.
Oh, thanks,
Looking forward to
Marcus.
chatting with you, Marcus. All right.
Yeah. Okay. See you guys.
Pleasure, Carla. All right, we better bounce. See you guys. Mwah.